Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name's Haley, and I love reading. Okay, everybody always says never to judge a book by its cover, but nobody ever said anything about judging a book by its color. Today, I'm going to be giving book recommendations for every color of the rainbow. So the cover is the color, and they're just generally good books, but I thought it'd be fun to categorize them like this. So, without further ado, let's get into our reading rainbow. The first book in our red placement is The Chalk Man by CJ Tudor. As you can see, she's very red. This book follows a group of friends, and it has two timelines, one set in 1986 and the other one set in 2016, where they're basically in 1986 when they were all kids, a murder happened and they happened to be kind of witnesses to it. But there's still so many unanswered questions, and in 2016 one of the friends dies, and it brings back all of this unsolved mystery from the 1986 storyline. This book, the twist, I legit could not speak for like 20 minutes after reading this because the twist had me gobsmacked. It's insane. CJ Tudor does so good with plot twists, and I love every single book she's ever written. But this is my favorite, and it's very red. So for our red position in the rainbow, we have The Chalk Man by CJ Tudor. For our orange position, we have The Plotters by Eunsoon Kim. This book follows basically a hitman. He is a hitman, and he's a contract killer. His job is to kill people. But soon his killing company starts to go under, and a bunch of stuff goes awry. Basically, if you love any sort of crime boss type of books, or anything that has to do with organized crime and amazing characters that are so interesting yet fun-loving, my favorite ploy in this book is the main character. He has cats, but he names his cats household objects, so nobody knows he has cats. So I think he has a cat named Drawer and a cat named Cabinet, but I love that. No, it's a lamp and drawer. Anyways, I love that so much. This book is just a hidden gem. Not a lot of people know about it, but I think they should. I found it at the Dollar Tree, and it was a 5-star read, and I loved it. By the way, all of these have been 5-star reads in my opinion, because if we're gonna rank the rainbow of books, I'm not gonna give you bad recs. These are gonna be 5-star worthy reads. Okay, in our yellow position, we have Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. If you have not heard of this book, do you live under a rock? Or you just don't like sci-fi? But even if you hate sci-fi, I implore you to try reading this book. This book follows a man he's a scientist, and there is this bacteria that is currently consuming the sun and making Earth colder. So he has to go many, many light years away to try to find a planet that has not been affected by this alien bacteria and see why and study why to bring it back to Earth. And in the process, his entire crew dies, except for him, so he's left alive alone. But he meets another species of alien that he has to try to communicate with and help, because this alien's world is also affected by this thing. And just the way they have to learn to communicate and the friendship they build, oh my god. I love sci-fi, but even if I didn't love sci-fi, this book is amazing. 10 out of 10. I want to get a tattoo for it. Amazing. Okay, for green, we have The Postmortal by Mgary. This book, oh my gosh. This was when I created a book club with my friends. This was the first book I picked for it, and it was amazing. I wish we could study this in schools, because there are so many interesting discussions that can be delved into from this book. This book essentially follows a world where they have found a cure for aging. So you can still die, but you can never die from old age. Whenever you take this shot, your body physically is frozen in its state, and you will stay that age forever. So some people take it when they're 12, so they stay 12-year-olds forever. Some people take it when they're 80, so they stay 80 forever. But it basically follows this when it first comes out to basically almost 100 years later, to see the effects of overpopulation and people wanting to die, but is it like, unless you can't die naturally, so you have to die through diseases or other methods. And it follows this guy who takes the shot, but he becomes like a person who, I don't know, no spoils here, but it's just so good. It's never been, like, nobody ever talks about this book. Anything Drew Mgary writes is strange and weird, and I eat it up. But this is our spot for the green book. Okay, for my blue book, I have False Dawn by Chelsea Quinn Yarbro. And yes, this is a strange cover for a book. And there's a little bit of red, but it's okay because if you take the dust jacket off, it's blue. This book, oh my gosh, I ripped it. Anyways, this book was my favorite book I read in the year of 2023, and it is dystopian. It basically follows this world where a disease has wiped out almost everybody, or it has morphed people in certain different ways. So like a man with a wolf head, it's something that could physically happen. Well, there's people that have survived the disease that didn't get morphed, and then the people that did get morphed, it basically becomes like two separate gangs. And you follow a girl who, she has been morphed into like half an animal, half human from this thing, and it's her trying to survive. Let me say, before anything else, trigger warning. This book has a lot to do with sexual assault and things along those lines, so I would definitely say check your trigger warnings before reading this. But it is such a good apocalyptic feel. Like, there's almost no hope in this world, and I love that about some post-apocalyptic books. It's like The Road, but a little less bleak. And people have cool mutations. But yes, I love this book. It's also super short, so yeah, False Dawn for our blue spot. Okay, indigo. Now, how do we know what's indigo and what's purple? Personally, I'm really bad at telling the difference between the two, so I'm just gonna pick a book that has a bunch of different purpley colors on it and call it indigo. So for our indigo spot, I have 56 Days by Catherine Ryan Howard. This book, if you are a mystery person, drop whatever you're doing right now and go pick up a copy of this book. It's also really interesting because this book takes place during COVID. And like, I'm all for, like, when TV shows started to add COVID into them, I hated that shit. But this follows a girl and a guy who start dating, and about like 2 weeks into their dating, shutdown happens. And they say, you know what, fuck this, we're gonna lock down together and it'll be an experience. Well, a couple months later into lockdown, the like cops are called because a strange smell is coming from the house, and one of the people are found dead. And oh my gosh, watching and reading these people's relationships, nothing is what it seems. Everybody has shit to hide, but it's so interesting. And then the plot at the end, like, I can see why some people didn't like it, but I thought it was so creative and so crazy, like, holy shit. So if you love mystery and you're inkling for a great mystery novel, 56 Days, I have recommended to almost everybody in my life, and everybody that have read it have said it's worth my hype. So indigo, 56 Days. And we've come to the last color of the rainbow, which is purple. Okay, for purple, I have Haunted by Chuck Palahniuk. It would not be a me video if I didn't talk about Chuck Palahniuk. This is my favorite book by him. This is a first edition and the cover glows in the dark. I did not know it glowed in the dark until I was alone in the middle of the forest in a little cabin and the lights went out and bitch glue. I shat myself. But anyways, Haunted, trigger warnings, every single thing that could trigger a person is in this book. Let me tell you, we have eating disorder, we have cannibalism, we have sexual assault, we literally everything. So if you have any trigger warnings, do not read this book. But if you love gruesome, terrible horror, I am here for you, and this book. This book follows a group of people who are going on a writer's retreat, and it's supposed to be like this month alone to just write your own thing. Well, in this writing retreat, the people who are running it lock them inside. So they basically are locked in for a month until they write what they want to write. Well, these people turn it into we could use this, and we could say all these terrible things happen to us in here, and then make like famous documentaries about what happened in here. So they start like cutting off their own limbs and doing stuff like that so they can say they were tortured, when in really they were just locked in to write their own stuff, but they turned it into hear my story of how I survived. All the while, each person is also telling their most horrific story, and some of those, I think about them on the daily. They live in my head, not rent-free, but they're still fucking there. Oh my god. But yes, this book is so interesting, so terrible, gruesome. Oh, if you love bloody, gory, disgusting horror, you have to pick up this book. Also, my copy, along with Glowing in the Dark, I got it personalized and signed by the author. So this is my prized possession. This is my favorite book of all time. So I just, that had to get the purple spot. Okay, I know this video is about reading the rainbow, but I would be amiss to not mention a book with a complete lack of color. Actually, that's not true, but it does not have a lot of color on it. And that will be Down the Drain by Julia Fox. Hands down the best memoir I've ever read. And I'm sorry, Jenna McCarthy, I'm sorry girl, but I think Julia Fox's was more interesting. This book is insane. Her life, absolutely insane. And you know what? Even if you don't know who she was, because I didn't know who she was going into it, oh my gosh, and she's so good at writing. Like, seeing clips of her online, you wouldn't really necessarily stereotypically say, hey, she's gonna be a good writer, but she's so good at writing. I read this book in, I think, a week. I couldn't put it down, and for our black and white honorable mention in my reading of the rainbows, we have Down the Drain by Julia Fox. So thank you for coming along with me in my journey of reading the rainbow. I have one more book to show, and this is just because it's my most colorful book, and I have to. It has every single color of the rainbow on it, and it's just gorgeous, so I have to share it with you all. This is the second book to the Born trilogy by Jeff Vandermeer, and it's called Dead Astronauts, and it's super colorful. But yes, so thank you so much for watching my rainbow book recs, and if you have read any of these books, please let me know. Or if you would like to make your own rainbow recommendations in the comments, I would love to see them. But overall, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.